Hello everyone, and welcome to the first chapter of the first book in the Art Journey series. The first book of this series will give you the gift of sight, teaching you how to see things as they are in the real world. The first chapter of this book is called So You Want to Be an Artist. So you never held a pencil in your life and never drew before, yet you are here, asking yourself, can I be an artist? Or is art a private club that only available to these people who are born with a gift given to them from the heavens? Can I become an artist, even if I don't have that talent? I mean, I can't even draw a straight line, or even draw a stick figure. Well, the short answer is yes. Yes, you can be an artist. The long answer, on the other hand, well, it's gonna take a bit longer to explain if you have a time. By the end of the first book, not only are you gonna see it's possible, but you'll also see the whole world in different eyes and mindset. So if you just lend me your focus for a couple of videos, I will prove to you that you can draw even as we speak. Your drawing ability is already in you. It's just that your eyes can't see the real world yet. In the next few chapters, I will do my best to convince you that if you watch the videos and do the exercises, I promise that you will gain a whole new superpower. The power of seeing the real world as it is, with no filters or modifications. So if you want to be an artist, if you want to be able to draw anything, if you want to turn your imagination into reality, and if you are ready to take your first leap of faith into the art world and start your own journey, you have arrived to the right place. I will be your guide throughout the whole trip, showing you the same road I passed just a few years ago. This video will include everything you want to know about the concept of art and drawing, answering all the questions that you might have right now before you take the leap into the art world. So before we go any further, let me tell you that there is no turning back. Once you get caught in the magic of art, you won't be able to get out of it. You will be obsessed with art. It will be a curse and a blessing at the same time. So before we go on, make sure you are ready for the longest journey of your life. So, are you ready? Good choice. Welcome, traveler, to the art world. I will begin first by telling you my own story, how I became an artist. I always had an affection for art since childhood, reading comics, watching cartoons. It's usually the reason most people want to draw at a young age, but as most people I stopped drawing at the age of 10. And I never had a chance to go to art school later on, due to financial issues and family issues and other issues. You see, art wasn't much appreciated back when I finished school in early 2000s, and it was looked down upon as a career. I had to draw for many years in secret while doing a mundane job. I was taking courses in architecture and graphic design just to see if there's art courses in them. And the art courses were very primitive, like school level, just draw what you see or draw what you want, no fundamentals or anything. In 2009, I had some health issues that led me to the ER with a troubled heart. I remember when I was in the hospital bed, just thinking about my life and what I really want out of my life. The only thing that came to mind is that I want to be an artist. It's all I ever wanted. That day I came home and I decided to take the first leap into the art world and go all in. I thought there is nothing else matter to me if I die. I just want to be able to draw. So I decided to be an artist. And my first drawing ever that I did as an artist was on the 21st of June 2009. And this is what I did from memory. I'm sure this drawing alone should convince you that you can be an artist as well. Now, as the first drawing, it was really bad and really got me down, but I insisted on drawing even more. Or at least if I can't draw, I want to know why I can't. My family and my friends convinced me that art is a gift. It's not something you can learn. I just didn't have it in me. So why waste time with it? But I just couldn't buy that. There must be another way. There must be a reason why I can't draw, and I wanted to find out. I knew it was just a matter of time and practice. It was a long way to become an artist, but I was determined to do whatever it takes. To me, life was too short to not be able to do what you love. Art is a blessing and a curse, as I said. Blessing that it will change your life and make it better. And it's a curse that no matter how far you try to escape it, it will always hunt you down and get you back on it. So I practiced drawing every day for 8 hours. non-stop. I bought some books. One of them was Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. It was an amazing book that I read cover to cover. And I'm also gonna quote a lot of it in this first part of the series. I also watched tutorials over and over. Some of them were so bad, I almost quit drawing altogether. But some were so good, they pushed me even more. It's one of the reasons why I started this channel from the beginning. It's mainly because of the bad books and bad tutorials out there that sometimes do more harm than good. So finally, after 12 months of daily practice, I drew this picture. In 1 year, I went from this to that. I was on the top of the world. I just couldn't believe it. The minute I started to see the world as it is was the moment I will never forget. It was like unlocking the secret power in me that everyone told me I don't have, and it was glorious. But the thing is about art that you never have enough of it. So I started doing more drawings, all in black and white, all in pencil. I didn't want to confuse myself with colors and other mediums just yet. I wanted to master the basics of seeing first, before anything else. And for the first 3 years, all I did were pencil drawings. Some portraits, some still life, and even drawing from life. And by the end of the first 3 years, here where I was on the drawing level. In 2012, I felt I reached the top level of pencil drawing, and all the black and white drawing I did. So I thought I can draw anything now. But what about painting? I needed to know how to see colors. So I went to an art atelier to learn about oil painting. I learned in 1 month how to mix paint, how to prime a canvas, how to see colors, and do some master studies. In 6 months, I started to get commissions to do either reproduction of master paintings or birthday gifts. I was starting to feel like art might be a career after all. I even participated in a couple of exhibitions in fancy areas, and by 2014 I felt like I reached the top when it came to being an artist. But for some reason, I wasn't satisfied yet. Every time I looked online, I see these amazing digital paintings and concept art that I couldn't replicate on traditional medium. Yet I thought, no, traditional painting is the right way. It's the pure form of art. Digital art is just cheating and it isn't authentic. Even though I bought my tablet that I work on right now in 2009, but I only tried drawing on it for like 1 hour and I hated it. It felt weird, like drawing on glass. It didn't feel like pencils at all, or have the same control of the pencil. So I put the laptop away and kept doing traditional art. So in 2014, I had this friend. We were competing like in painting and drawing, but she started doing digital art. She moved from traditional painting into digital art, and I felt like she passed me skill-wise. Even that we are friends, I just felt like she is winning the competition. And we talked a lot about the traditional versus digital painting for a while, until she said, look, why don't you try it again? Now you have learned more than you were in 2009, just try to draw again on it. It might be different this time. So I said fine, and I did, and this is what I painted. Compared to what I was doing in oil painting, this was a big letdown. But she said you were the same when you did pencil, and then with the oil, you always start from the beginning. So why do you expect you're gonna do great from day one on digital painting? Give it time. So I did. I thought, let's do a whole year and see what happens. If I improve, I keep doing it. If not, I just go back to traditional art. And it only took me 3 months till I started to see the difference. My love toward the digital art grew every day, and I just loved the process and the layering and the flipping of the canvas. It was just amazing. And day by day I started to do less oil and more digital until I completely switched medium. When I started uploading to my YouTube channel in 2014, I was mostly digital artist. Now with digital art came a whole new batch of challenges. But with challenges came new ideas and new experiences. I no longer draw what I see, but create what I don't. Concept art, fan art, and character design all came from switching to digital medium. And I just don't know if I would have done all that if I didn't try to improve myself or take on my friend's challenge. 10 years after that day that I was in a hospital, I'm now a working artist. I do still have a boring day job, by the way, but once I come back home, I work on my art, studying, researching, and developing my skill as an artist. Of course with the help of the community online. Even though I never had a chance to go to an art school or draw from a young age with encouraging surroundings, I managed to become an artist with the help of some amazing art teachers and mentors out there. So I went from this to that. I never was talented or born with a gift. I started at the age of 26. 26. Not a very young age. So why do you think you can't? Let me be the devil advocate here and ask the questions that you are asking right now. But of course I can't hear you because this is a video, not a Skype call. So you're saying something like, well, is it possible for anyone to learn art? I mean, I'm not gifted. Am I too old to learn? I'm not 5, I'm not 10, I'm not 20, I'm not 50, I'm not 90 anymore. Can you really make money out of art anyway? Isn't it a waste of time or a hobby? I will answer all these questions and more in this video, with some scientific concepts, some examples, and some exercises. The goal of this first book is to get you from here to there, from a childish drawing to drawing a realistic object or person as it is in reality. Let's start from the beginning, with the first question. Can I be an artist? Well, the answer to this is no, because you already are an artist, and you always was. Everyone, and I mean everyone, is born as an artist. And the proof to that is basically everywhere. If you have a bunch of children playing around and you put some papers and colored pencils around them, everyone will stop what they are doing and start drawing right away. Infants discover art as early as the age of 1. The minute they get their hand on pencil or pen, they will scribble on anything. The walls, the floors, the parents' clothes, and even on the father's work paper. Their scribbles start with basically circles and lines using either one or more colors. Now their drawing doesn't have a physical form yet, since their vision and sight isn't fully shaped, so their scribble match their visual perception at that point of time. They try to understand the world around them with these chaotic scribbles. It seems like an infant have got the concept of art as a tool to explain the world very early in his or her development. A concept that sadly we forget when we grow older. So you have already started your art journey at a very young age of 1. Now by the age of 3 years old, symbolism and form start to show in the artwork of a child. This is mainly due to the development of sight and visual perception and language skills the child starts to develop at that age. So as the child starts to form the words dad, mom, cat, dog, he also developed the skill to draw a symbol of a dad, a symbol of a mom, a cat, or a dog. The verbal and visual interpretation of the word develop together. So by the age of 3, we will see stick figures representing human, arms, legs, faces, and so on. Now by the age of 4, clothes, fingers, shoes, and hair starts to be implemented in the drawings. Everything a child sees becomes a symbol in their art, a symbol that is drawn over and over and over again. By the age of 5, a child starts to tell a story in the drawing, a trip to the supermarket, or something happened with a dog, or a trip to Disneyland. A concept of storytelling starts to materialize as the child becomes better with words. By the age of 6, children develop the skill of landscape drawing. A sun, trees, windows, houses, and clouds start to appear in their art. By the age of 9, drawings become personalized. A child starts to draw things that represent him or her, or things they love, a favorite cartoon for example. Boys may draw tanks, cars, heroes, or villains, while girls may draw flowers or fashion figures. Now at the age of 10 is where children face their biggest challenge. At this age, realism becomes the biggest issue. At this age, the child's artistic development and drawing skills usually stops due to the language skill dominating and overpowering the visual perception skills. What they see no longer matches what they draw anymore. They see the world differently than they used to at a younger age, but now they can see that their drawings of symbolism doesn't match the real world anymore. It's a conflict between the visual perception level and their drawing skills. Now when that happens, children become discouraged and disappointed with their drawings, and usually ask their parents or teachers for help. They don't understand why their drawings look like this, and they are looking for an answer, which usually comes from their parents or teachers as, just draw what you see. But that won't help at all. Heck, that didn't help me when I was 26 and trying to draw either, so it's not gonna help a 10 years old child. The reason is correct sight or correct vision isn't that easy to teach. It's not as easy as just saying it. Telling someone to draw what to see makes absolutely no sense to someone trying to draw, because they think that's what they are doing. They don't know that there are factors modifying their vision into something else. Children at that age want their drawing to match what they see, they won't accept the symbolism of a younger self anymore. So they start to hate their older drawings. Sometimes they just draw the same object or character over and over because they are good at it. I remember drawing Ninja Turtles over and over because it was the only thing that I was good at in my eyes. But even that started becoming boring after a while. Children at that age just hate the older symbolism because it just doesn't work explaining the world they see now. And if they can't figure out why it doesn't work, they just can't keep on drawing. So at this point, children decide that they can't draw anymore. Every time they do it, they get disappointed or depressed due to the bad drawings, because they can't draw things as good as they see it. So at the age of 10, most children just give up for good. I was one of them. Now the lucky ones who accidentally learn how to draw correctly or get the right help from their parents or teachers become talented artists. These are the ones people call gifted artists. They weren't born with the gift, they just didn't stop drawing. But sadly for the majority of people out there, they either have to discover it later on in their lives or never go back to drawing again. The sad fact is, drawing isn't considered as a vital skill for children, like reading for example, or writing. So when a child stops drawing at the age of 10, no one cares. But if they can't read or write anymore, there will probably be more panic and urgency to fix the issue. So as you can see, everyone starts as an artist. But the fact that our brains develop the visual perception faster than our drawing skill discourages us from drawing at the age of 10. Think back right now to the younger you. There must be a time where you really liked drawing. You were drawing all the time. You may even remember the joy of drawing as a kid. Yet you just can't remember why did you quit. Some of you may actually do remember. I know I do. It was people telling me I'm not talented, or it's not for me, or drawing was just a big waste of time. A teacher or a friend or even a parent can do more damage to a child's artistic skill than anything else by giving bad remark about their art, like you are not good enough, or this drawing look funny, or just laughing it off, can lead a child to quitting even sooner than they usually do. They just want to stay away from something that brings them unwanted criticism toward them, or they just want to make their parents happy. But you may wonder, why won't the art teachers in elementary school get involved or know about these things? Why won't they help the 10-year-old kids figure things out? Well, you may have a bigger chance finding a unicorn than finding an elementary art teacher who have the knowledge or the willpower to guide a child toward the complexity of visual perception at that young age. I'm not saying they don't exist, but to find a teacher that wants to invest their time in teaching kids how to see and draw is very rare. Usually they will do more harm than good, either by letting them draw anything they want without teaching them the fundamentals, as it happens in most schools, including mine, which will lead to the continuation of the children's symbolism instead of correct drawing, which will eventually make the child disappointed and depressed that they can't fix their own drawing and they can't get help. Or by the teachers switching completely to craft instead of art and making macaroni picture frames or whatever, so they don't have to deal with the question from the children or see the children disappointed by their own art. Either ways, it will lead to the same eventuality, no one coming out of this class as an artist. And yes, I dealt with the same thing, and I'm sure you did as well. Other factors that may have stopped you from drawing is, most schools focus on math or physics. Art is simply a class you take if there is nothing else to do. But if the math teacher wanted to do another class, the first thing to go is the art class. He will take that class and do math. Other things like people telling you to get serious and invest your time in serious stuff, rather than painting like small infants. Or simply finding out that you just don't want to feel bad anymore. So you just switch to other things that make you feel happy, like sports or video games, and you stop doing art for good. So you were born as an artist, but they stopped you. So as you can see, art is not a gift from above. It's not a special magical power that descends on few lucky ones. It's a basic skill, like reading and writing, that is usually neglected at the age of 10. The only difference between you and people who are gifted, as people call them, that they didn't stop. They either kept on drawing since the age of 10 or figured it out later on. Of course, I'm not saying there aren't these geniuses in art. There are those who are one in a million. The type of artists who just learn everything much faster than the rest of us and draw amazing drawing by the age of 10 or 8 or even 5. But these are not the rule, they are the exception. They are just rare, like any other profession out there, like geniuses in physics or chemistry or business. But 99.9% of artists had to draw every single day for years and years to get to where they are now. I know I'm one of them. I have absolutely no childhood gift given to me whatsoever. I didn't draw for the first 26 years of my life, only childhood drawings. So if you stopped at the age of 10 and you didn't draw till this day, and you try to draw something right now, your drawing will basically be at the exact same level as you were at the age of 10, at the age where you stopped drawing. The reason is, that's where your skills stopped. Drawing skills don't evolve on its own without practicing. It's like being a musician. Imagine if you play the guitar for 10 years, then you stop, then you come back after 10 years. You will pick it up where you left. Your skill of guitar playing won't continue when you are not practicing. It will just continue when you start practicing again. And so does drawing. Even a 40 years old guy will draw as he did when he was 10 years old, because that's where his visual perception skills stopped. Without learning the skill of seeing reality as it is, the childhood symbolism drawing will continue all the way into adulthood. As I showed you in my first drawing, this was at the age of 26. It's exactly the same level I was at the age of 10. This should prove to you that drawing is a skill. It will only grow if you practice. You stop, it stops with you. So let's compare art to music. Both are skills, but in music, you're expected to practice a lot more before you produce a decent musical piece. But in art, you are expected to draw perfectly the first time you hold a pencil. And if you don't, guess what? You are not gifted. And you shouldn't draw ever again. You know what? Think of a pencil like a guitar. No one expects you to play Stairway to Heaven the first time you pick a guitar, would they? So why do you expect that you will paint the Mona Lisa the first time you pick up a pencil or a brush without any practice? It just doesn't make any sense. Now if you expect that from yourself, it's because the myth of the gift of art. People still think that good artists can draw anything without any problem, even if they didn't see an object before. Ask any artist out there if they can draw an elephant if they never saw a picture of it. All of them won't be able to, cause that's just not how the brain works. Drawing is basically copying what you see, either what's in front of you or in front of your mind's eye, as in memory. If you don't see it or practice it, you won't be able to draw it. That's another proof that it's a skill, not a gift. I'm gonna keep repeating this over and over, cause this exact myth kept me away from drawing for 26 years. The main problem that feeds this misconception is that teaching art is like teaching someone how to ride a bike. I can show you a million videos of how you can ride a bike, but unless you get on it and try it yourself, you won't be able to grasp the concept of stability at all. That's why most people think art tutorials don't work, because most of the time you are just watching it. As I said before, watching Michael Jordan play basketball 24/7 won't make a good basketball player out of you. You have to do it yourself. The issue of not being able to transform the knowledge of art as a skill by just explaining it gives more power to the myth of art being mysterious or magical ability that only few can possess. Also, most artists in the olden days didn't deny that is a special power. It's good for business. It's like magicians never explaining their tricks. The less people know about art and how it's done, the less competition they will have. Even some of the current artists can't explain it the right way. They just say, "It's just come to me. I draw what I see." This also adds more fuel to the myth that art is a gift. It also discourages many people to attempt to learn art, because they think, "You don't have the gift." But it doesn't make sense. It's like saying, "I can't draw because I can't draw." Well, you didn't start yet. You don't have any miles under your belt. How do you expect to be good at it if you didn't start yet? It's like saying, "I won't study Spanish because I don't know how to speak Spanish." It just doesn't make sense. So in conclusion, drawing is simply a skill that can be taught and learned by anyone who has eyesight and the ability to learn skills such as writing, reading, or even playing music. I always tell people who tell me that they can't draw a straight line, I tell them, so what? I can't even play one note on a guitar or a piano, cause I didn't learn it yet. But I would be good at it if I invested time and practiced a lot. And the same thing can be said about you. So why do normal people draw like they did when they were children? Why can't they see things as they are. Why do artists see things differently than non-artists? Here is why. When I first started reading drawing from the right side of the brain, I was fascinated how non-artists symbolize what they see instead of actually seeing. The concept is still so alien to you right now. You won't believe how hard your mind will fight it. My mind fought it for 6 months before finally giving up on childhood symbolism. You won't be the same person when you learn how to see correctly. It's like the whole world opened up to you, and you start seeing things for the first time. The idea is simple. The short version: there are two sides of your brain, left and right. The left side of your brain is logical, analytical, symbolic, literal, rational, linear, verbal, and deals with quantity, numbers, and most importantly, shortcuts. The right side of your brain, however, is visual, non-verbal, realistic, analogical, intuitive, and it deals with imagination and visual perception. As we grow up, the first 10 years of your life is mainly using the right side. That's why we draw a lot. We dream a lot as well. We enjoy things without thinking too much about it. After the age of 10, and once the language part of your brain grow more and we articulate words and meanings, we start using the left side much more. We give it dominance over the right side. It starts to control our action in a logical and analytical matter. And the right side become more subdominant, and the visual perception become underdeveloped and stay frozen in time at the age of 10. Now I know some people will point out that the whole left brain, right brain has been debunked in a study like that one in 2013 I think from the University of Utah, where they found activities from both sides of the brain are similar, no matter what the personality or activity it is. And that's fine. If you don't want to call it left brain, right brain, we can call it the logical part and the imaginative part. Because even though the theory of two brains might not be right, the fact of the subconscious and conscious still ring true. But just to make these things easier, let's call it the left and the right. The left is logic and consciousness, the right is imagination and subconscious. So what does the left side or the logical part of your brain do? It counts things, it counts objects, put name tags on them, count time, make step-by-step plans, and removes uncertainty from the future event and be in charge. Now the other side isn't bothered with future plans, it's always in the moment. It's timeless, so it doesn't bother with time or numbers. It sees things as they are as a whole, deals with imagination and conceptualization of the world around us. And that's why the left side is in charge. It is needed to make larger things into small, digestible parts or symbols, so you can understand it and finish the required task, instead of going into the meaning of every little task you have to do. For example, you need to go to the bank. Your left brain gives you the following symbols: dress clothes, take elevator, walk left, walk right, straight ahead, bank. That's about it. Short symbolic words defining larger tasks. No need to say I have to wear my jeans, I have to put my shirt, I have to open the door, I have to close the door behind me. It's too long, it's too complicated for a daily routine, so it gets symbolized in shorter sentences. It has to do that in order to get things done. The logical side of your brain literally bully the other side into submission. It can't deal with long debates and meanings with the other side, it has to get the job done. And that's why it's in charge, in a dominant position. Without it, it would take ages to finish a simple task. So what does all this mean when it comes to drawing? Now, as we mentioned before, the left side has no patience for details or complicated visuals. If it sees a cube in perspective, it will symbolize it in a square, turning it from a 3D to a 2D object to make it easier to understand. The sun will be a circle, the trees will be a rectangle, and so on. These symbols it creates are the remnant of the set of symbols created in your childhood and practiced daily as you were drawing growing up. The same symbols exist while drawing a portrait. You start drawing the eyes as circles, a circle for the nose, a line for the mouth, and a couple of jagged lines for the hair. These are all symbols coming to you straight from the left side. Now the most surprising aspect of learning to draw, for me at least, was the fact that my brain was changing the incoming visual information to fit its preconceptions. and there's no way you can tell it's doing that. According to Betty's book, it's called visual constancy. Now, visual constancy is our ability to perceive that the object remains the same even when the object projects different images onto our retina in our eyes. It means basically when the left brain keeps the size and the shape of the object we are seeing even when it's changing position or shape. For example, you draw the same size of an object no matter how close or far away it is from you, because in your mind it's the same thing. So why would it change size? As for the shape, it's symbolizing what you are actually seeing to make it less detailed and easier to understand. So because your brain actually changed the size of things to match what it knows from previous memories, you cannot depend on what your brain tells you what you think you're seeing. You can only depend on what you are actually seeing out there. You really can't tell how much your brain is completing your thoughts on its own, completely disregarding what you're actually seeing. It's like an autocomplete function. You put 3 letters and it gives you the final word on its own. But in this case, it replaces the image you're seeing with a symbol. The funny thing is, if you draw the object the way your brain tells you to draw it, the same part of the brain will tell you after you're done, wait a minute, this is not what the face looks like. Something isn't right here. Even though you followed its instruction, the symbolism doesn't reflect reality. It removes so many details from the object that it doesn't look like a real object anymore. So once you accept that your brain is changing visual information and not telling you that it's doing it, your drawing problems become much clearer. The visual constancy that the left brain do is important to conceptualize big daily life events into pattern and symbols, but it will become a hindrance when you are trying to draw realistically. Here are some famous examples of visual constancy in drawing. The 2 famous examples are the misplacing of the ear on the side view of the head and drawing the raised eyes or the missing skull in the portrait. And yes, I did both of them for at least 6 months. Now these 2 are caused by brain persistence to change actual information to fit the symbolism narrative in its memories. Most people think that the eyes are on the 3rd line from the top of the head. The actual measurement is that they are exactly in the middle of the head. Some beginners will find it really hard to believe that they are that low. This is due to the brain thinking that the eyes are the most important part of the face, and it should be higher, not lower. I mean, when we look at people all day, we look high up, not down into their mouths. We stay away from looking at their mouths because they will think we are creepy, so we stay high up. But in reality, the face has more features in its bottom half than its top half. And here where the confusion starts. You start raising the eyes up, and then the nose has to follow, then the mouth, and you would end up with a weird monster with a huge chin and no skull whatsoever. It's gonna take time for that to sink in, trust me. I will tell you what a bit later. So the next time you draw it right and your brain will tell you, hey, you draw them way too low, raise them up, ignore it. It's wrong. Draw them in the middle of the face, and once you've finished, the same part of your brain will say, oh hey, they look right now. By the way, if you have a mirror, measure the distance from the top of your head to your eyes, and then from your eyes to your chin, and you will see it's the exact same distance. The eyes are in the middle of the face. The same phenomena happens with the side view. When beginners try to draw the side view, they make it too thin, that the ears start to move into the front side of the head. Now the distance from the corner of the eye to the ear is the same from the eye to the chin. This equal triangle will help you keep the ear in its right position. Your brain will tell you this can't be that far away, it's too empty. The front has all the features. Ignore it. It's wrong. Do it correctly and it will agree with you after you're done. There are so many examples like this, like changing the sizes or the placement of every feature, making it bigger or smaller, due to visual constancy. So believe your own measurements and what you actually see. Don't second guess your own sight. Avoid hearing your own mental judgment over your actual sight. Your vision is correct, your mind isn't. Also, set aside your stored symbols of things around you that you gathered since childhood. A tree isn't a rectangle, it's an organic shape of forms and lines. The house isn't a rectangle with a triangle on top, it's a cube in perspective, and that cube will change shapes as you move around it or away from it. This is what every artist told me, but I couldn't understand for months. They said, don't draw what you think you see, draw what you actually see. And if you are a beginner, you won't understand it either for a while. It will suddenly hit you. You're gonna yell, now I can actually see. I still remember that day, by the way. No, I still remember the moment where everything I see changed. And I promise you, you will too. Don't worry, we're gonna discuss so many exercises that will help you move toward that moment in time. I'm not gonna leave you figure it out on your own. What all those artists meant is draw what you see without changing or receiving visual cues from your brain to fill its own perception about what is important and what isn't to draw. Here is a hint. They are all important, all the details. Honestly, tell your brain to shut up. We're gonna learn later how to bypass your brain persistence on changing incoming information without letting you know. When that finally happens, your sight and hand will start drawing real life representation. Only if you just believe what you are seeing. In order to turn off the left brain, it needs to be burdened with a task that it can't do or it can't handle. The left brain always likes to jump to conclusion, to the end of the line. You need to trick it to not do the task, due to it being illogical or detail-oriented that it would shut it off, which would eventually leave the right brain in charge, focusing and working on the task by itself. In order to explain this further, let's do a small experiment. It comes straight from Miss Betty Edwards' book, Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain. It's called Vases and Faces. This exercise will show you the shift between the two sides of the brain in real time. This image is an optical illusion from the 18th century French prints. You can see that it looks like two faces on opposite ends, represented in the black space or the shadows. And you can also see a vase in the white space or the light side. So pick up a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and start drawing the half of the vase on the left if you are right-handed or the right if you are left-handed. As you are drawing it, name the parts that you are drawing as you are drawing them. For example, an eye, a nose, mouth, chin, neck, and so on. Next, draw the horizontal line on the top and the bottom. Now go to the other side and draw the other face. But now as you draw it, you're gonna probably stop in confusion. The parts you just named seems getting in and out of your vision. One time it's a vase, other it's a face, and your mind is just shifting between the two states. It was honestly really freaky the first time I did it. It's like my brain was freezing up. I just couldn't focus on one state at a time. I kept shifting between the two. This confusion is a shifting state between the symbolic logical naming part of your brain and the other side, which is seeing it as a whole, i.e. the left side and the right side. This is just a sample of the exercises we're gonna do later on. These will confuse your brain on purpose, so you can understand the hidden state of your minds. Please stop the video right here and do the exercise yourself before continuing the video. It will take you 5 minutes. It will help you understand these states of mind that we are talking about firsthand. Another trick to confuse your left brain is slowing down. The left brain doesn't have the patience to do long tasks. Concentrating on a subject or a detail for too long will shift your brain to the right side, and you will become aware of the complexity of the task, which will finally take you into the zone. When people say they are in the zone, they mainly mean the right side of the brain, an area of complete focus and high thinking, with an overwhelming feeling of satisfaction and happiness. The more you initiate the zone mindset, the more you will feel the effect of the correct visual perception of the right side of the brain. The main issue here is that your dominant brain doesn't give up power that easily. The usual way of seeing is embedded in your conscious for years and years, and it won't change in few days. It took me 8 hours every single day for 6 months to get it to switch sides. But once you master the way you see correctly, there will be no subject that is hard to draw. You will be able to draw anything you see. The same goes to drawing from imagination. It's basically the same concept. Drawing from imagination is drawing what you see in your mind's eye. As long as your mind's eyes see correctly, your drawing will be correct as well. I want to point out one important thing here. Your left mind will not leave you alone. It will know you are trying to shut it down. It's like a clever AI, knowing that you are trying to shut it down. So it will do everything in its power to put you off drawing, because it knows that drawing is the only task that it can't be bothered with. So if you started not listening to its input while you are drawing, it will do everything in its power to make you stop drawing. It will make up so many fictional excuses for you not to draw, so it can be included again in your daily tasks. It will tell you that it's too hot to draw, it's too cold, it's too rainy. You have to do the laundry first, you have to clean up your room, You have to eat. Did you call your mother? Wait, the cat is around. This window isn't clean. Do this, do that. It will keep bothering you until you shut it all off and just pick up a pencil and draw. Once you start drawing, it will shut off and you will be in the zone. So if you experience all this reason coming up every time you wanted to draw, it's your left brain trying to survive against being shut off. Recognize that all its reasoning is not true. Just start drawing. The minute you start, they will all go away. Now the good news is that over time the left brain will loosen its grip on power due to your brain's changing attitude and dopamine levels that you get from drawing. So the more you draw, the happier you will get, the more dopamine rewards you will have. Your brain will love that, and the struggling against this new condition will get less and less. Shifting between the two states of the brain will become easier as you draw. And along with that comes confidence, patience, and enjoyment. Just remember that when your right brain is in action, it's called the zone, or the creative moment. These moments are so fragile and easily broken by the simplest things. A ring from your phone can pull you out of your euphoric state of mind. Someone calling your name, or knocking on the door, your right mind will shut off right away. The left logical part will be in charge again. So be wary of your creative moments, and exploit it as much as you can while turning off all the distraction away. It's really important to stay as long as you can in these moments. Okay, now we established that art is a skill, and it's obtainable by anyone once they start seeing correctly. Let's answer some basic questions. What is the skill of drawing? What is even the purpose of art? What is art? Art is a visual language to express an idea or a thought in a visual way. Drawing and sketching is a problem-solving skill. It's the science of understanding nature, and then replicating it into your canvas. From there on, your brain can work out a problem from different angles, especially if it can visualize it and seeing it in front of you instead of just only in your imagination. Drawing goes even beyond the problem solving and design part. It's the understanding of the subject matter that you are drawing in full details. Your objective is not to be a camera taking a picture of what you see. It's how you are seeing things and how you explain it in your own visual language. By slowing down and observing your subject matter, you see way more than you ever realized before. The whole world will reveal itself to you in ways you didn't even think it was possible. People who will see your drawings will not just see the subject you drew, but they will have an insight into who you are and what you saw in your mind as you were drawing it. They will see your interpretation of the subject. Art as a whole is but a series of successful small discoveries and eureka moments, along with the mental blocks, the frustration, and the very, very lonely nights. Art is your way to make your voice heard. It's the only form of communication that can survive for tens of thousands of years. Cavemen may have had philosophy or sang poems or have dances, but all we have left from them and other civilization is their art. That's the only thing left of them. That's why you make art first and foremost, for yourself, to be heard, seen, for years and years to come. You will become immortal. And the good things about drawing is, because it's a skill like reading or writing, once you learn how to see, you will never forget it. Okay, so now we know what art is. You may ask yourself, why is it even important to learn how to draw? It's just a hobby, isn't it? Well, no, it's not. It's a basic skill. It's as important as reading and writing. Drawing should be considered an essential tool to any profession out there. Imagine a surgeon drawing an anatomy of a patient before performing a surgery to visualize it pre-hand, or an engineer visualizing the mechanics of a piece of motor they are working on and trying to figure it out. Architects conceptualizing their buildings before designing it. Well, architects used to be able to do that pre-AutoCAD phase. Now I can barely find an architect who can actually draw, unfortunately. Or musicians doing abstract sketches of their piece of music before even playing it, to add more depth and layers to their musical piece. Learning how to draw will gain you access to the part of your creative brain that you didn't use before. It will enhance your ability to think creatively in all areas of your life, solving a problem from different directions. Think of it like imagining things in 3D rather than 2D. You gain extra dimension to every problem you want to solve. Drawing will teach you self-discipline, so you can draw every day. Drawing will teach you focus, so you can stay on the same drawing hours and hours, completely losing the sense of time, and distractions will have no power over you. Drawing will teach you willpower, that even if you are not in the mood or having a perfect day, you will want to draw to get better and better. Drawing will teach you patience, and lots of it. No matter how many times a drawing won't work out, you will do it again and again and again till it works. Drawing will also teach you critical thinking abilities and decision making, by giving you the skill to invent different and alternative ways to solve the same problem. Drawing will teach you curiosity to how things work and why they look the way they do. That's why most scientists and thinkers of the ancient world used to draw. By learning how things work, you learn how to mix and match, and then create new things out of an existing matter. No matter what job you do in real life, even if you don't want to be a full-time artist, the ability to express your ideas in drawing will unlock a large part of your potential creative power and problem-solving skills that will give you an extra edge over your competition. Finally, drawing will open up your third eye in your brain. Your imagination will flow there without any boundaries. Because drawing connects you to the object you are trying to draw. It's like touching the object with your mind and your eye's sight. You learn its details, textures, and feel it without even touching it with your hands. You will see objects differently. You will see color differently. You will see people differently. No, you will see the world differently. Because you will see the world with the eyes of an artist. And those eyes have no limits. As you get better at seeing and drawing, you may think you have finally reached the final levels of art, and that your journey is almost at an end. But you will realize then that you are so far from the end line that you can't even see it. Drawing skills by itself is not the end goal here. It's like we talked about with music. Learning to play the guitar is one part. Making music is the goal you learn it for. Same with art. Drawing what you see is a skill you need to start making your own original art and stories. It's just a tool you will use to shape up reality from the imaginative ether into a visual form. Your ultimate goal here is to add your voice to the universe. Art is a craft, a tool you use to manifest your visions into reality. Just like writers manifesting their stories into words. Musicians manifesting their harmonies into sounds. Art is a visual aid to tell your story. It's the podium you stand on to talk to the people around you. And the better your skills are, the higher your podium will be. And the higher your podium is, the bigger the audience you're gonna reach. That's why it's important to know that art is a marathon, not a sprint. It's so important to remember this. Otherwise you're gonna exhaust yourself so early in the game that you may actually quit. It's important to enjoy the journey itself, rather than keep asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? The process of learning something new every single day should be the goal of your adventure. Now art itself is a therapeutical experience. It calms your brain and extracts all the crazy thoughts in a poetic life form that will mesmerize the audience. It's like doing yoga for your mind, without the funny clothes. So as you start learning to draw day by day, you may have the urge to look far ahead or watch other artists do great things around you. And you wonder, when will I be able to do that? Don't look too far ahead. The journey of art goes way up, way high. If you look all the way to the end, you're gonna get dizzy and overwhelmed very quickly. You don't need that pressure. Think of it like a video game. You don't play video games just to get to the ending, do you? You want to enjoy the conversations, the actions, the learning, the skills you acquire through the game. These are the things you're gonna remember the most, not the ending. Well, especially the ending in some games. I'm looking at you, Mass Effect 3. Yeah, I know, I didn't get over it yet. It's important to love the process, because the road is too long. I'm talking probably about 80 years of your life, maybe even longer. So if you want to make it, you need to enjoy the daily victories, the daily wins. But also expect the daily frustrations and blocks, because there are many of those too, trust me. One last thing you need to know about art and drawing, that it is not easy. You're gonna have to practice for long hours, sometimes daily. You may have less social life than before. You may spend many lonely nights drawing when everyone is out having fun. You may have to wake up early mornings and go out to draw. It's a long road with absolutely no shortcuts. It's like bodybuilding. You can't just go once to the gym and think you're gonna have a perfect body. It takes as long if not longer for your brain to have the perfect sight. And it doesn't come from one practice session. It comes from a long process. Finally, as you master the skill of drawing, you need to figure out what you're gonna use it for. You want to do illustrations? Or just draw for fun? Or drawing your own friends? Do you want to be a concept artist? Do you want to make video games? Do you want to do abstract art and participate in exhibitions? The beginning of the journey is the same to all of these options. But once you master the skill of drawing, you need to know which road you want to pick. As I mentioned before, the journey is long and it has so many routes to reach the final goal. So know what you want to be first. It will help you make good decisions on what to study and how to study later on. Am I too old to start drawing? Well, the answer to that is yes, definitely. I mean, if you don't have like 3 sketchbooks when you were a fetus in your mother's womb, you are too late. You should at least have like 3 sketchbooks by the time you were born. I know, I sound frustrated answering this, but there is a reason for my frustration. This question was another factor that kept me from drawing for 26 years. I partially blame some artists for this, cause I did ask some artists and they told me 26 is too old to start. And I had to start way early as a child to be able to keep up. I even heard famous artists on YouTube saying 26 is too old to start drawing. By what measure is 26 too old? Vincent van Gogh decided to be an artist at the age of 27. He was older than me. I remember a guy I met in the atelier where I learned to do oil painting. He was 68 when he first started. He didn't draw before. He already been there for 3 years when I came. So by the time I met him he was 71. At the age of 72, he made his first exhibition. He sold 15 paintings out of 16 in the first night of the exhibition. His work was amazing, so beautiful and deep. In comparison, by the way, with my first exhibition I sold 2 paintings out of 12. I was around 50 years younger than him and he sold more than me. Your age does not matter. What matters is how much time would you invest in your practice. How many miles do you cover? If you start at the age of 40 and practice daily for 10 years, you will draw better than someone who started at the age of 20 and only put 3 years into his practice. You will be 7 years better than him. That's the rule. It's not the age you start drawing, it's the time you spend drawing. That's a quote by a famous artist. I still get the question even now, after I became an artist, from 20, 30, 40, even 50 years old, asking me, is it too late? The answer is, I'm the proof that it is not too late. You can be an artist in 1 year if you practice 10 hours a day, or in 3 years if you practice 3 hours a day. So the question isn't, can I be an artist at the age of whatever? The question is, when do you want to be an artist? Or better yet, since we already confirmed that you are born as an artist, when do you want to realize that you are already an artist? Pick any date and go for it. The art school question. This is one of the top 10 questions asked of all time. What school is the best to teach me art? Most artists will say none, especially nowadays. Don't go to an art school. Just find a mentor online or take some courses and practice and you will be an artist. And to a certain point I do have to agree. I didn't go to an art school myself, and the art courses I took in college was completely pointless. It was draw this, draw that, and you are good to go. No rules, no fundamentals, nothing. It was elementary school all over. You won't believe if I told you what my final exam was for the art class 2. Not the art class 1, the second art class. The teacher didn't even show up for the final exam, and we were waiting for someone to give us an exam to do. So the dean of the graphic design department came to the class, and I swear to God, he put the trash can on a table and said, "Draw this," and left. I have never felt so humiliated as an artist more than that day. I was 18. I didn't draw for 8 years after that day. The day where I had to draw a trash can as a test, as a final test. Now obviously there are way better schools out there. But the point is, the price tag for it doesn't make sense. You can't pay $30, $40, $50,000 to learn art. You won't be able to pay that back in like 5 or 10 years if not more. My best advice is start at home, do online courses, find mentors like the olden times. In olden times art was a craft. It was taught like any other craft by observing professionals. An art mentorship was basically working for a famous artist, completing his ideas and painting and matching his style. By doing that for a couple of years, you would develop your own style. This kind of mentorship is now sadly lost. Now you are just given the fundamentals and asked to make something out of it. It's a bit harder to create something new right away before even following a guide or a mentor. There is craft school though. They do differ than normal art schools. These sometimes are called industrial design colleges, where they teach students how to draw for a precise function. They teach you how things work and why. It's more precise education, but sadly these colleges are way more expensive than normal art schools. So my best advice here is to learn the basics and fundamentals at home. And when you can afford to advance your skills later on, if you want to work for a gaming industry or movies, you can take few industrial design courses or 3D design classes. You can even take some advanced art classes. Just don't waste your money on basic courses. You can learn most of them for free online. Hopefully this way you won't be left with a huge debt at the end of it. Just remember, most famous artists didn't go to art school. Most of the master artists didn't. They sharpened their skill by their curiosity toward function and why things look like the way they do, or why they work the way they do. They followed a rational thought to completion, and their drawings just spoke for itself. Now I have to say that even if you have graduated from an art school, it's still not a guarantee that you're gonna be an artist. Sadly, the majority of artists graduating art school quit after a couple of years of graduation. Now there are some reasons for that. First of all, the skill level. Most of art college teachers are not the same level as professional artists in the real world. So their level of art reflects on the students themselves. So when they graduate, they still face the same dilemma they faced at the age of 10. Their skills does not match their expectations. And they are not improving on their own after graduation because teachers didn't give them the tools to expand their horizon after graduations. They just made them copy their own style. So they are stuck with a huge debt and mediocre skills that can't bring them money to pay the debt. So the obvious solution is to find a temp job to pay the bills, and years go by and the temp job become their main source of income, and art will be just a painful memory. Another reason is boredom. Yes, some people go to art school because it's fun. They remember how much joy they had drawing as a child. And in college, drawing with their friends is still fun. No physics, no math, just drawing. How can it go wrong? But after graduation the fun stops, and the learning path goes all rough all of a sudden. There is no guidance, no friends, no mentors to lead you. It's up to you to find your way. So some of them start practicing, but they don't have the same joy out of it, like they did in college. So they start looking for other ways to satisfy that feeling of happiness. And most of the time what they find is other things away from art, which will take them away from art altogether. The anxiety for results is another reason. After graduation from college, you are expected to get a job, make money, be successful. So you need results. If your skill doesn't get you a good job, you start questioning yourself. Am I even good enough to do art? Do I have the talent? Am I too late? Did I waste my time? So you start rushing your own paintings, mimicking speed paintings every time without getting the requested results. Anxiety leads to frustration, frustration leads to pressure, and one can only take much of that before leaving it all behind. Thinking, well, I wasn't good at it anyway. And another reason is perfectionism. That's a big one, something I suffered from myself. It made me stop doing art for a whole year when I was just about to make it as an artist. After doing a couple of exhibitions and getting high praise from artists, I just couldn't do another painting. Every time I wanted to start I was thinking, it's not as good as the last one. And I start over and over and over till I stopped completely. I just couldn't move past the last painting I did. When art students hit that high in college and can't replicate it afterward, they hit the wall hard. If they can be 100% the best out there, they just don't want to be anything else. They hold on too tight to their own art, like their own children. The next painting can't be as good, so there is no point doing it at all. That's why practicing destroying your own art once in a while is a good way to get rid of that feeling. Finally, this may be a small reason, but social media might be a reason why some artists quit. Some artists, especially beginners, depend on likes on social media as a measure of success. If a drawing gets 100 likes, it's good. If it gets 10 likes, it's bad. This high and lows eventually feed to anxiety and depression. And if you work so hard to finish 3 paintings and they didn't get the likes you hope for, you might throw in the towel and give up art altogether. Likes should not be the measure at all. It's random, just like a slot machine. It should not be a measure to evaluate your art. Sometimes I worked on a piece for 5 minutes and I got 1,000 likes. Other times I worked 3 months on one piece and I barely got 10. I still think the other one is better, of course, it's just luck. Most painting that goes viral is 99% luck, 1% talent. Also, not everyone gonna like your art, so that doesn't mean your art is bad. It means that people have different tastes, and some people will like yours and others won't. So don't let it bother you, or change the way you think about your art. Eventually, most of the artists quit art midway. The journey, as I said, is hard and very long. Not everyone gonna make it to the other side. The only measure that can tell you if you're gonna make it is the amount of passion you have. Passion is the fire guiding you through your journey. The stronger your passion, the brighter is your path. The minute your passion dies, you will be surrounded by darkness, and you won't be able to see where you go next. Well, if you decided to do art for a living or not just a hobby or a skill to enhance your life and current job, then the answer is of course. There are so many professional artists out there living out purely by making art. The idea of a sketch artist in the street drawing caricature for kids for $5 is what most people think about art. Art is way bigger than that. Here's what you can be when you learn how to draw. An illustrator, a concept artist for video games or movies, an animator, a 3D artist, environmental artist, prop artist, comic artist, and you would be doing all kinds of work, manga, anime, storyboarding, TV commercials, movies, video games, and so on. Some people still think the only way an artist get money is through art galleries. Galleries right now are mostly a marketing podium for all artists that mostly do the same thing, either abstract art or the crazy old underwear on the floor. In best case scenarios, it's gonna be a shark in a tank cut in half. My experience with exhibitions is not that good, to be honest. The first time I took my art there, they told me it's too classical, too much realism. The guy literally told me to change my style and do abstract art, then come back and we can talk. They just want to sell the same thing. But now with the expansion of social media and online galleries, you can expand your work everywhere. Print your art on things, t-shirts, mugs, pillows. You can make copies and sell them separately. You can make videos on YouTube and monetize them. I mean, every hack is doing art on YouTube. It's so easy, you are listening to one of them right now. So there is no need for all ways of selling to galleries and exhibitions. I personally participated in over 10 exhibitions in my country. Some of them were international. In total I sold 7 or 8 paintings, and I barely made enough money for rent. I made much more by expanding online and getting online commissions. But that's just classic paintings. Art isn't about that anymore. Some artists right now are making up to $180,000 a year working as concept artists in the gaming industry. Art is not just doing oil painting like the olden times. It got much bigger. Everything you see as an entertainment, TV show, a movie, a commercial, or a video game start as a sketched idea on paper, done by an artist. You as an artist is the starting point of any idea out there. Being an artist gives you the unique opportunity to stand out from the crowd for being able to materialize your thoughts into visual medium. Remember, though the art takes time, don't expect to start art and in a few days you're gonna be making money. You're gonna draw for years sometimes, without reaping the benefits financially. When you are as good as professional artists, then you're gonna see some income starting to manifest itself. So don't think it's gonna be easy or fast, but it is possible nonetheless. So let's talk about the good habits you need to equip yourself with as you start your journey. The sooner you include these habits into your daily routine, the better your attitude toward your journey will be. First of all, keep a company of artists around you. You need artists as friends, someone to talk to from time to time. These people will encourage you when you are down. They will give you ideas to draw when you have a mental block. They will encourage you when you do great paintings or drawings, and critique you in a good way when you mess up. Non-artist friends are good too, but they won't understand the daily struggles you pass through like other artists. So try to keep them around. They are like a good AI companion in a video game. They will have your back throughout your journey. Another thing is sharing art on social media. This one can be good and bad. You need to know when to share your art and at what stage. If you're just starting up and you still didn't reach a good point where you can see the likeness of the reference photo in your drawing, it's better not to share it online. Even though most people will encourage you and wish you luck, like friends or family, some people may over-critique it, and it will only take one wrong comment to send you back into your childhood memories, where you didn't like your own art. It may actually lead you to quit art again. But if your art is good enough to be seen, and you have reached a certain level of realism in your work, then it's advisable to make yourself visible on social media. Posting your art everywhere will bring back some commissions, which will be good for boosting your morals. Just remember to watch out for copyrights. Don't post other people's work, especially the one you did as a study, and call it original work. We will talk about copyright for artists in later videos. Another good habit is to keep all your old art, drawings, sketches, everything you did since the first day you started. These are essential for morale boost and as a record of your progress. Every time you think you are not advancing or getting better, it only takes one look at your first drawing to make you feel better about where you are now. They are very important to keep, to make you feel better in the dark days of self-doubt and frustrations. The next thing is repetition. Doing one thing one time usually won't work. If it does, it is luck. Doing something 10 times will give you a higher chance for it to work. Doing it 1000 times will guarantee you that it will work. Any subject matter you don't understand, do it 100, 1000 times and you will get it. If you can't draw hands, draw 1000. If you can't draw faces, draw 1000. Even 100 will make a huge difference. The good thing is that you can test that theory yourself. Draw one subject 100 times and compare your first drawing to your last, and you will be surprised. The trick here is not to repeat the same mistake 100 times, otherwise this exercise is pointless. The important thing is to know why it's not working and trying 100 different ways to solve the same problem. Remember, art is about solving problems, so don't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Something Einstein quote. Eventually, by doing it 100 times, you will reach the correct key to unlock this puzzle for you. Don't try to draw everything from the beginning. I did that for a long time. Don't try to draw characters, landscape, sci-fi, fantasy, cars, spaceships, aliens all at once. Or try to draw one of each every single day. You're gonna confuse yourself. Focus on what subject you love the most and practice it till you master it. Then you can move on to the next. Art is big, really big. And you can't be a pro in every single subject at the same time. Concept artists in gaming companies do specific subjects that they are masters in. Some do only characters all day, some do landscaping, some do level designs, others just do props, and some do spaceships all day. They will tell you they can do any subject, but they are not as strong as the subject they are doing all day. For example, they can do spaceships, but they are better in characters, so they do that instead. They won't be fired for it if they didn't know how to do other things. If they are hired specifically to do spaceships, they can be paid for it, even if they didn't do one character. So it's better to master this one subject of art than be average at all subjects. If you don't know what you love yet and you're just starting up, then by all means, try your hand in everything. Draw a couple of characters, ships, cars, the whole lot, and see where you find yourself the most. You will find that you gravitate to whatever you like the most. Then, once you do that, focus on it and be the master of it. Just remember, this is about the subject matter, not the fundamentals. The fundamentals are a must for any subject you choose. Subject matter, on the other hand, is an option. Now, even subjects aren't a simple entity. They also have their parts. Each part may include a whole different set of problems for you to solve. For example, characters include figure drawing, anatomy, fashion, armor, portraits, and so on. And even under that, under anatomy, you will have muscles, bone structures, muscle attachment, motion, functionality, and so on. So don't tackle major problems at once. Divide it into smaller portions and tackle those one by one, till the whole thing unravels in front of you. Now, fundamentals are big, really big. You can simply start learning all of them at once, or try to draw the subject you like and see where your weaknesses are. If you see that light and shadow are holding you back, go and learn about it. If it's perspective, then go figure it out, instead of learning hours and hours of fundamentals without application, only to forget it before you get the chance to use it first. Once you mastered your fundamentals, they will carry you over so many mountains and so many canyons toward your final goal. Remember that you have to learn the rules first in order to break them later. Be flexible with your learning. You will have to change what you learned all the time. Digital to traditional, copying to creating, and so on. You will never reach a static line in your learning. If you did that, it means you are either dead artistically or physically. Give up on perfectionism. You will not be perfect ever, so don't be afraid to fail. Without failing, you won't learn. You have to fail over and over, especially in art, so you can learn why and how to fix it. The important thing is, when you fail, don't give up. You will want to give up so many times, probably every day, but don't. It will be worth it, trust me. Don't compare yourself to professional artists who are way above your level. They have been running for years ahead of you. You cannot expect your talent to match theirs when you have a gap of couple of years to reach them. Be inspired by them, not discouraged by their accomplishments. Set them as a goal you want to reach, and when you reach them, set the mark even higher. Be open to good criticism from other artists, especially the one above your skill level, and especially if you ask for their help. Most artists won't critique your work if you didn't ask them. We learn as artists not to give critique if we are not asked. Art is hard enough without someone telling you what to do out of nowhere. So if you did ask an artist for critique and they gave it to you, be open to hear them out. Even if it doesn't make sense to you at this moment, they may have seen issues in your art that you still don't understand yet. As long as they critique your fundamentals, it's fine. Once they tell you to change your style, that's up to you to take it or leave it. For example, telling you not to draw in cell shading style and do more realistic values, that's up to you to take it or leave it. Now, a critique from random people who aren't even artists, well, you might as well just nod and disregard it completely. No, I'm not being snobby, but someone who doesn't know anything about medicine can't tell a doctor what to do. Yes, art isn't medicine, and yes, it is subjective, but someone who didn't spend any time learning art cannot tell you how to do it. On that same point, don't criticize other artists unless you are asked to. It's just not polite, and it wouldn't be constructive if the artist didn't ask you to. Some people just post art for fun. They don't need to hear how the anatomy isn't right. It may turn them off art completely. Now you don't want that on your conscience, do you? Speaking of social media, don't live on other people's praise. As I said previously, your skill level doesn't depend on the amount of likes you get. Trust me, once your work hit a higher level, you won't need likes anymore. When it's good, the whole world will notice it. Finally, I have to add this one out of experience. Now you have to work hard. Just be careful how hard you work. Watch out for your health. It's the most important part in this equation. Without a good body, you can't be a good artist. Pain and drawing do not mix. I tried. Your body is your tool, and if your body is broken, you have nothing to draw with. Take breaks, manage your time, eat healthy, and be wary of your posture all the time. In the end, just always remember the joy of drawing as a kid, and never lose that. Now there are so many misconceptions about art, and of course when I'm talking about art, I'm talking mostly about the visual art, as in painting and drawing. I personally believed most of these misconceptions myself, before I started to draw, and still face them as questions now that I'm an artist. These could be so harmful that they may stop you from getting into art yourself. They did keep me personally out of art for years, so let's start with explaining what is real and what is a myth. Art is a gift. Sorry, I already mentioned that, but it still pisses me off I had to say it over and over and over. Art is not a gift. It is a learnable, teachable skill. There must be a shortcut out there to make art instantly, like a button on the keyboard or a shortcut on Photoshop, or maybe the pen the artist is drawing with. It must be the pen. It's definitely the pen. I know this sounds crazy, but I honestly thought before I started drawing that artists do have secret shortcuts that they don't want to share. They kept saying practice, but for some reason I just felt that they put their hand on the canvas and a painting just appeared. I thought it's the pen or some kind of a software or a plugin in Photoshop that made them put these insane concepts on paper. When I finally decided to draw myself, I realized it's just practice, as they said, long and long hours of practice, and even longer hours of drawing till they get to the final results. I thought a painting took a couple of minutes to finish. That was basically due to the many speed paintings I watched that they made me think that was actually real time. Even though I did know it was sped up, I thought this is how they really paint, this is how fast they think. 30 minutes and this amazing painting appeared. When I finally decided to do my first painting, it took over 100 hours to finish. You can't expect to do one stroke of your brush and the hair of the character just appear. It has to take hours to make it look good. There are no shortcuts, ever. Every stroke you see on the canvas has been drawn by the artist. It's interesting how the concept of shortcut comes to mind as you start to draw. Seems like it's coming from your left brain still fighting to get back in the dominant seat, telling you there must be a shortcut, but there isn't. I knew it, it's the brush. It's a magical brush. I know so many artists get pissed when they ask about the brush they are using. It's funny to me, because I thought it was the brush or the pen as well. As I mentioned, I thought there was a shortcut and it must be the pen. But trust me, it's not. Materials doesn't matter. The medium doesn't matter. Once you learn the fundamentals of drawing, you can draw with a rock on another rock, and it will be a masterpiece. No tools out there would transfer a bad drawing into a great drawing. Perspective would, values would, proportions would. Brushes won't fix it. If you don't know the fundamentals, nothing will save your drawing. If they do, no one would even bother with learning how to draw. They will just buy the materials and draw great paintings. Artists can draw anything without reference images. That was my idea on professional artists, that they always drew on white canvas without any reference around. They just made things appear out of thin air. I didn't know back then that all artists put their reference on another screen as they draw. Not a single artist out there can do designs out of thin air. They all use reference to draw from. The one who don't use reference every time, they already have enough visual library in their brains that they can use, so they don't need outside reference. But they did use it as they were learning how to draw. But the ones in their brains came from actual reference outside, and they did their studies prior to painting. If you ask artists to draw something they didn't study before, they will always need reference photos for it. You will never find better examples of perfect designs than the ones in the real world. So no artist can draw without reference photos. Confidence and patience are special powers for certain people. Dear God, this again. No, it's not. Confidence and patience are not special power. They both come through practice and getting better. You gain confidence when your drawing skills become better. And when your work become better, your patience to spend time on good art increase. You won't even want to leave your paintings anymore, because it feels so good to keep painting. When I started, I barely could spend 5 minutes on a drawing. I get so bored and agitated. I hated what I draw because I wasn't good, and I just wanted to stop. Couple of months passed and I'm doing 15 minutes, then 30 minutes, then an hour. In 6 months, I went from 5 minutes to 10 hours in one session. I'm not saying you should do that, but it will come with practice. Patience is a skill, just like drawing. It's learnable and attainable. Confidence will be automatically available when you get good at what you do, just like everything else. Now, style is special. Only some artists have it. You can see that my old thinking had a pattern. Once you believe art is a gift, you think everything related to art is a gift as well. Believe it or not, style is already embedded in you. No one can draw like you. No one can replicate the way you do your strokes and hatching, or the way you draw eyes or hair. That's your style. It will get more and more defined as you learn more and more about art. You're gonna learn so many different ways to draw the same object, but you'll always pick one method. That's your style. It will grow with your talent. Be patient. Don't push yourself toward a certain style. It will come by itself. Well, I want to start today, but it's cloudy. I'm sick. I'm bored. It's not the right time. My cat is looking at me in a weird way. Well, you can come out with a million other excuses, but you will never ever find a perfect day to draw. Cause there isn't a perfect day. Every day something gonna happen. I can guarantee it. I mean, this week alone, on Monday I woke up feeling great. I thought this is it. This is a great day to start drawing. And as I held the pen, the phone rang. It was my brother telling me my uncle just died. First thing I heard in the morning, and you can see where things went from there. On Tuesday, I woke up feeling great. As I wanted to start drawing again, a client called. He had some correction on a project I did a couple of days ago, and he needed it in an hour. The next day, I woke up with a sore shoulder. I could barely draw for half an hour. The next day, I had a cold and couldn't see right. My eyes were watery all the time. It will go on and on. You will never find a perfect day to start drawing. This is just your brain procrastinating and giving you false excuses. Let me tell you a little story about the perfect days thing. This is a story I heard from my father. There was a king who was just sick and tired of every day having some of his people coming and moaning about issues in the kingdom. Invaders from the north, sick people in the east, water is getting low, this guy took my land. So one day he announced, on next Monday I will go to my garden and no one gets to talk to me. No one send me messages, no one asks me for anything, for a whole day. I just want to be left alone for one single day. So on Monday, they leave him alone. He go to his garden, rests his head on a tree trunk and smiles, saying this is a perfect day. And as he said it, an arrow dripping with blood landed just near his face on the tree trunk, coming from the land next to him. Where there were two brothers fighting over the land, their father left them, and one of the brothers shot an arrow through his own brother's heart, and it landed near the king's head. So he looks up to the heavens and say, God, not even a day? So if a king can find a perfect day, why do you think you would? Why would I want to be an artist? Haven't you heard the phrase starving artist? Yeah, that's why most parents hate to hear their kids want to be an artist. That phrase keeps so many away from art. Doing art won't cost you more than a piece of paper and a pencil. Yet once you learn, you may actually make thousands of dollars. I explained already about how to make money out of art earlier, but I just want to say, you can be a starving artist, but you will never be a starving talented artist. It's not the 17th century anymore. You won't need to sell your ear for food. We have the internet now. You can sell your art instead. Okay, I started to get better at drawing, but after a year I just can't seem to get better. I even think I got worse. Well, there is a simple explanation to this. As you can see in this graph, it has to do with your hand-eye coordination, your drawing skills, your eyes, and your visual perception. As you start drawing, your skills improve very fast, but then it slows down. As your vision gets better, your skill gets better, until they match. But after that, your skill keeps improving while your vision stays the same. And at this point, you get the feeling of euphoria, that you are really good. You can even draw better than you can see. But then, as you move forward, your vision gets better, until it matches your skill, and then it passes. Once your vision and visual perception passes your skill level, you will feel like you are going backward, like you can't draw what you are seeing now. It's not going backward, you are still going up and forward, but your vision is now much better than your skills, and you feel bad and depressed that you are not catching up. This is bad, trust me, I know the feeling. I almost quit when I felt that I was going backward, but as you keep practicing, you level up again, and your skill match your vision, and even pass it, and then you will have another piece of euphoria, and then your vision get better, and on and on and on. These two parts of high confidence and low confidence will make you a bit anxious, if you allow it. You will question your talent over and over and quit so many times. Just remember to make it a one-day quit. You have to come back the next day and draw again. Because in reality you are getting much better on the large scale. You just can't see it on day-to-day basis. So you cannot get worse in art. Drawing isn't a skill you will lose. It's like reading and writing. If you didn't read for a while, you won't forget how to read, would you? So don't worry. Keep your head up. You are doing better as long as you keep drawing. So now we talked about everything about art. But if all that didn't convince you yet, that everyone is born an artist and you can make a living as an artist and that art is just a skill, it's time to do some exercises. So you can prove it to yourself that you can draw. Don't worry, I'm gonna hold your hand in the whole process and every step of the way. Right into the non-magical, completely normal world of art. Let's start with a simple task. Pick up 2 pieces of paper. Draw a picture of yourself, either from a photo or a mirror. And on the other piece of paper, draw a picture of a person you know from memory, not a photo. Draw it as you usually do. Don't look up tutorials or anything. Don't try any method. Take as long as you want. This will be the start point of your journey. Let's consider these 2 drawings your passport papers into the art world. Now you already saw mine. That was my passport, my first drawing. So I'm sure your drawing will be even better. After you're done, name it, date it, and save it in a safe place. And no matter what you do not lose it. Take a digital copy of it and save it on your PC as well. And with that, the first chapter comes to an end. Congratulations, you just took your first step into your own journey. In the next chapter, we're gonna start doing more exercises showing you that it's all about the sight and the brain state. How to confuse your left brain and how to start seeing correctly. The other lessons will be much shorter than this one. I just wanted to cover everything a beginner artist wanted to know in one single video in one place. so you don't get confused or get half of the information now and then the other half later. You can always come back to this video if you want to know anything about how to start your journey. I really hope I covered everything you want to know as an introduction. If you still have any questions, I'm sure it will be covered in later lessons. But nonetheless, please ask it in the comment section and I might cover it in later videos. I really hope you watched the whole video. And thank you if you did. I hope I managed at least to change your mind about being an artist and how simple it can be. And before I go, I want to thank all the people who donated to my Patreon. Thank you so much for your generosity. If you would like to support me at Patreon, please go to patreon.com/rainwalker. And thank you so much for your help. This is the first chapter of the first book of the new series. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.